entrance actually to this hallway so that the principal has direct access to the main hallway. That should be done next week. And once again, this is monies that was appropriated by Idaho legislature, and it is zero cost to the district in any capacity. So that will be done. First two stages, or actually the first stage and 2 phases will be done by next Friday. And that was the information we were given today. So exciting.
Good.
Cool.
Questions on that one? The big one that we've been chasing, this was about $45 million that was appropriated by the state again, and this is for the ICRS. The third deadline is February 1, and there's about $9 million remaining. We've been earmarked for our application. We are waiting for the last set of quotes, and then we are ready to upload. Just a lot of credit to the State Department of Ed as well as Idaho CTE, and they have approved our submissions in about 3 different rounds. So we are getting those tighter, and the only things that we are waiting is quotes from a couple of businesses. We can put those estimates into the application, and I think we'll be in good standing, and they'll let us know within a month if we're awarded, and the monies will be dumped into the account within a month as well.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just don't know what ICRS
It's
is.
Idaho Career Ready Students. It's a grant application. What Superintendent Critchfield and the state really believes that right now there's in-demand jobs, but then there's not a lot of preparation for this. And then in order to get school districts, especially rural schools, they are dumping monies into it, and it is really set aside for rural remote schools. And Superintendent Critchfield was on campus in October, I believe.
Yeah.
And she really, after her tour, she went back to her office the next day, and she really spoke to Allison Duman, who's the project manager, and really earmarked our application, and she really would like to see a building in this community. So that's a priority to Superintendent Critchfield.
So like if there's, sorry to interrupt.
No, go
So
ahead.
if there's like $9 million, the idea is you take that and then you add some kind of curriculum like a shop.
Actually,
or
there's
something.
$9 million remaining out of the $45 million that's been appropriated by the state. So this
So
is
if we get a chunk of money, what do we do with it?
Well,
This is what I'm
right
curious
now
about.
I believe the bid is anywhere between $2.1 to $2.5 million. We've actually trimmed it from about 3.1, somewhere in that range. The proposal right now is to add in a CTE building just over 10,000 square feet. And in our surveys that we gave to the community and to the staff here, we're looking at 2 specific trades right now. One is auto, and the other one is residential construction trades. The third one that the state has advised us, and Superintendent Goff has been advocating for this quite a while, we need to plan for ag. Ag has got such a wide range that we're able to do more with ag once we get a certified person in that capacity. So that's something that we are working on, and the building is really befitting of those 3 specific programs. 2 that we can start right away in the fall, and then the ag one we probably have to wait just based upon the personnel. If we can find one, I think we will certainly try to plug that into the next school year.
So my kid was doing Future Cities and I went back and noticed that there's a wood shop and welding and all kinds of stuff, but I didn't know that existed
Sure.
until just a few weeks ago.
Sure.
But I was told there's just nobody to teach it. You know, so if we get this money, can we save part of it for the teacher as well? So we can have
So
somebody
this is
actually,
all based upon
or is it
equipment,
just the
travel, buildings, supplies, but it does not go into the teaching salaries in any way. The spirit of the bill does not allow for that in any way.
it's kind of a bummer, right? Because like you get more facility, but you still lack the
True.
funding to.
The one thing about grant money though, if I could, is when you put somebody's salary in a grant and then the grant goes away, you lose the teacher. So now you're gonna hire them for 2 years, then you say, sorry, we can't afford you, you're gonna have to go find another job. That's why I never believe in associating any salary with levies or bond money, period. Because the minute the community doesn't want to fund it is the minute you gotta start firing people. And they might have a house and everything moved up here and their whole livelihood, and now you gotta get rid of them.
We have gone after a couple rounds of grants, and one is the nurse one. And there's a great question in all the grants that we've been seeing is that what is your sustainability plan? And this is where we've worked with Gabe. And he's been able to save about $110,000 in the budget. And so if we're saving that, can we dedicate some of that money to sustain the program or the building? And I think that's certainly a realistic possibility. Yeah, I think there's some other thing that I just forgot what my train of thought. Any other questions about this? Oh, actually, what I was
Who
going to
writes the
mention.
grant? Who's doing the work?
It's
legwork
actually,
to make
it's
this happen?
depending on the grant, it's really a collection of people that has the knowledge or the time or the expertise or just the pure drive. Many of the grants has really been with these two right behind you, Gates been in every single grant writing ones because it impacts the budget. And then Kevin has been on a couple of different reasons. He oversees IT and facilities and he knows the layout of the entire campus. So those two guys have been very crucial with this. Another name is like Bundy with obviously the nursing. So we really try to get the people that is.
Miranda helps.
Miranda's
Yeah.
absolutely helpful and Michelle's helped out as well. So it's a collection of people.
And like all hands on deck.
The other thing that they were saying is that if you build it, they will come. And this is what the state has said, that if you build a really awesome building and a program, people are going to come to you. And I think the designs that we have is really cool. It's pragmatic, it's doable. I do believe that if and when we get it, that it's going to attract more teachers.
Good.
The last one, any other questions about the ICRS?
Oh, I had a
Sure, of course.
question. So, at what point, have you presented that to the board, like
It's been
the
approved.
plan?
Mhm.
It's been approved?
Yeah,
How
go
do I
ahead.
get a copy of that?
Sure.
I just want to get up to speed on
Of
like
course.
what facilities you're talking about.
I can certainly do that. Any others about ICRS? The last one is, Kevin, is it the SOF2, is it the March 15th? There's another round, and this is up to about $200,000. And once again, this is securing our futures. This is to make sure that our campus is safe. And there's about 3-4 different ways that we are looking at securing our building and our campus. One of the weaknesses in terms of safety is actually the playground area, so we are looking at closing that in. The other area, if you can help me out a little, Kevin, one of it is the speaker system.
Yeah, the town bell system to be upgraded.
And then the
One of
fobs.
Big ones, additional fobs for the interior doors.
And then I know that a couple of years ago, and we experienced this year as well, or last year in district, we had a power outage. And last year, the power outage really indicated to us that we do not have reliable technology or communication when all the phones were down. So when the cell towers are down, the power was gone, we really did not have a great way to communicate. So we're looking at cell phones here and upgrading the radios within our building. So that is actually on the list. And that is due on March 15th. And then as soon as, if and when we get awarded, like the other state grants, we'll get it within a month. And then we'll be able to use it right away as well. Last one, the Healthy Nurse, that grant has been submitted. The submission date is February 1. They acknowledge the reception of it, and we'll be waiting to hear from it in about 2 weeks.
Does that cover the salary?
It is actually, the partial is $20,000 a year, full is $40,000 a year, and it is up to 3 years time period.
And what did we go for?
We put on there that we wanted the full one
Uh-huh.
for $120,000 for the 3 years or $40,000 annually.
Okay.
And then depending on the applicant, that could add into the FTE that we would receive for the nurse applicant.
And then Gabe's working on saving money too, to sustainability wise.
Exactly. I asked Gabe, can you work on what the sustainability plan was? And this is where in every single grant, there are very specific questions. This is a little bit outside my wheelhouse. So I've asked Gabe to do that, and he's come up with the numbers and then the narrative, and I just included into the bigger grants.
Because like, is 40,000 a realistic salary for a
40,000
nurse?
is a really good contribution from the state, but please note that this is a pupil staff service
Right.
part of the FTE, so we're gonna get monies from the state depending on their experiences and qualifications. And
Okay.
then so we can actually put it together, which will make it a really good number. So I cannot give you a number because of the applicants. We'd have to wait for that and then just see where they fall within the career ladder.
What would the duties of our nurse be here?
I think the one thing, well, just like our securing our futures, it's all preventative. But then also we do have students who require a high medical needs and attention. The other part that we are looking at is when we've been looking at the ICRS grant, one of the items that we're not quite ready for, but I think we need to talk about is actually the medical side of this. When we pull the community and the students, it was not a high needs, but I can actually, depending on the person, I can actually see us adding in an elective class based on the person's credentials so that we can open that up for basic first aid or healthcare, even a CNA route if we wanted. Those options are possible,
Okay.
but I think teaching one course would be really cool.
Mhm.
The one area that I've enjoyed at a bigger school district is actually physical therapy, athletic training. I think those would be really a great service based upon the needs that we have, and then just the amount of activities that we have within the school district.
Yeah,
But those are some options that we are exploring, but I'm not sure that we're quite there yet. I think that for us, we really want to focus on the auto and then residential construction trades
Mhm.
and really hone in on that and do that really well before we try to branch out too much.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Any others for the grants mentioned?
Thank you for doing that, everybody. Thanks.
Working on that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna start with our incidents report, and it is not going to be very exciting because we had winter break, so if you look down in the bottom corner on the right, we've got 2 weeks where we were off for break, so there were no incidents reported, and then our first few weeks back were very uneventful. So last week we had 0 incidents, and the week before was very, very low. So there's not a whole lot of new information to report with the incidents report, but this just adds to our data as we're looking across the year. Probably the only thing that's worth noting is just that in that bottom right corner, it is comparing last year's with this year's data. So if you look at that first week in January when we came back to school, we were less than half of the incidents that we had a year ago for that week. So, and that's really been our trend across the board, is that our incidents are lower than they were a year ago.
That's great.
I wanted to highlight our coordinator for MTSS, who is Kathy Coleman. She is our middle school science teacher. I don't by any means want to give the impression that Cassie is the only person doing MTSS. MTSS is really a team approach that's incorporating many, many people. And so MTSS stands for multi-tiered systems of support. And this is really our way of trying to ensure that we are implementing intervention and support to our students behaviorally, anything that they might need physically. We're also looking out for students who are struggling academically. So this is a partnership that's happening with a team that Cassie has put together. So she's put together a team since the beginning of the year. They are going through a book and receiving training so they can learn more about MTSS. She's been coordinating with teachers to help them with in-class strategies, because most of what we want to see is that we're giving strategies to the teachers so they can be assisting those students in the classroom. She's also been meeting individually with students, and then she's been building upon the work that Miranda Hennessy was doing last year with MTSS, and that she's building a really clear referral process and documents to support guidance for teachers and anyone in the building that's trying to meet the needs of the students. So I wanted to note that she's been doing a ton of really great work and building on the things that Miranda was doing last year. And then the last thing for me is Idaho Launch. So we've talked a little bit about this, and I just wanted to give an update. Jen Van Dyke, who is our high school English teacher, does a lot with our seniors. And so as of this point, 9 of our 13 seniors have been awarded provisional funding for post-high school. So that means they're going to get funding to help them with post-secondary education, which is fantastic.
That's cool.
Is all of that through that launch program?
Idaho Launch, that's it.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
there's others like for scholarships.
Yeah, this is not even those scholarships. This is just Idaho Launch. It's that program that's trying to get kids into high need areas of career fields in the state. So they're
So-
awarding money for students to pursue various career fields,
You said 9 of 13.
9 of the 13 in our school. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Any questions?
No?
Is some of that CTE or is it all?
It is. So, and I can give you the information for Idaho Launch, but it is an enormous list of different career fields. I mean, education is on there. So
I was
they're
wondering-
really trying to, I don't know of those students what particular things they're seeking to do. I'm guessing just based on some of our student demographics, yes, some of them are CTE, but I don't know exactly how many. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can we take a little break for a second?
Can you do that?
Can we go to the bathroom?
We
Yeah.
can go to the bathroom. Sorry.
I think this is the same time.
I told you, we're going, you told me before you come.
I know.
We are not as excited as they did.
This is gonna be the whatever it takes to get Well, I don't know the method. That would just depend on your phone.
So I can.
Oh, is that where you're trying and loading?
I would recommend for
I do think that if you have a nice facility,
okay, you guys can just sign today's date and the initials, they have
but your remote location is Is there easy construction here? I mean, they can. Just, yeah. No, it's.
We have things.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Smart out.
He misses that.
Traffic.
Let's get her done.
Build out the storm.
What's that?
I don't recommend.
No.
He misses
Oh,
Morris build out that
Busted
community
up here.
to appear.
oh, nice. I was looking for a pink slip.
Yeah, no, not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
Maybe next month.
Maybe next month.
I can only hope.
You go to Cancun again and they'll just give you one. Okay,
Sorry about that, everybody.
alright, sorry guys, we're gonna get started. Alright, item number 8, community forum on agenda items. Reference policies 1520, 4105, and 4105F. Public comment will be taken from the public on matters scheduled on the agenda. The chairman may interrupt or terminate an individual statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, repetitive, or irrelevant. A person wishing to speak on the agenda item should fill out a request to appear before the board form 4105F and submit it to the board clerk before the meeting begins. These forms will be available at the sign-in desk or can be found on gbsd.net policy 4105F. And we have one today. Request to appear before the board, Morris Morgan, in regards to the reorganization.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You tell me when my 3 minutes almost up.
You got 3 minutes.
You want me to wait for the time on?
I don't know.
This is how bad this
Gotta
is gonna be.
Consistent. New school board members, congratulations. You signed up for a thankless job. I'm sure you're gonna be up to it. My best advice that I can give you is no policy. For the first 3 years that I was on the board, I read policy, and that's what I got from the training. Because if you don't know policy, the best thing that will happen to you is that you'll be a hindrance to the function of the board. In average, you're going to be ineffective as a board member, but at worst, you could get the school or yourself into legal trouble if you don't know school policy. And a lot of your questions that were asked here this evening could be answered in or through policy, but there's a lot. Start with the school board. Treasurer Ken Donnelly. I've been treasurer ever since I've been on the board. If you need any help with that, ask, because I don't want to go to a party that I'm not invited at. So I'm there. Also, new school board members know whom you can speak to and whom you cannot speak to when it comes to school issues. Policy will tell you that the safest thing is you can speak to your 1.5 employees, or you can speak to other board members. That's it. Otherwise, you could get yourself into trouble. And then with the reorganization and the executive session, consider putting executive session after item number 4, because the problem of having a meeting before and then afterwards, it is the perception that it creates. You're not trying to do anything shady, but you could be accused of that. And it's just the perception that it creates, especially if there are action items that need to be taken. The other thing, if you want to consider having executive session and then your regular meeting, go and check Idaho Code 74-2061. And they've got a special booklet that just deals with public meeting, right? Open meeting law. So school policy and no open meeting law. It's about the best advice that I can give you. Thank you very much. How did I do?
Thanks,
2
Mark.
minutes and
Thanks,
30
Morris. Woo! Yes. Your knowledge with policy has been huge for this board.
Yes.
So we have a gap to fill, and we're all gonna work together to make that happen. So, thanks. Okay, item number 9, action items. A, new business. Do I have a motion to hire Teresa Baldridge as behavioral interventionist and Melody Lynch as paraprofessional?
Pat, do you want to fill us in on this one?
So we had sped teacher and a parapro take some time off because of some of the situations that are happening.
Okay.
We had a person who was working as behavioral interventionist, Anthony.
Okay.
He was phenomenal. He's since passed. He had a massive heart attack.
Oh.
And so we had to get somebody to come in and cover the people offside, as well as some of the behavioral onside. So it's a constantly moving target with what we got to do here, and especially in a small school.
Okay, so these are qualified individuals from a
Absolutely.
different
Yeah.
area?
It's all gonna be in the special education realm. Behavioral interventionist is gonna be actually out doing home visits
Okay,
at 2 different individuals, and then Melody Lynch is gonna be covering the parapro
on
duties here on campus.
Okay.
And so you interviewed these people.
Correct. I had an interview team interviewed them. Yeah.
We typically have a committee, and Steve will build the committee. He'll ask like the teachers, the parents, different people from the community, and then the committee will interview the individual and then bring their choices back to Steve. And then Steve gives it to Pat.
And then I come on bended knee and ask you guys, please.
all right, Madam Chair, I move that we hire Teresa Baldridge as behavior interventionist and Melody Lynch as paraprofessional for the Garden Valley School District.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do we have any discussion around hiring fall 2024 coaches? Jason Yearsley for football, Loree Jones for volleyball, and Michelle Ogle for cross country. No discussion? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Jason Yearsley for football, Loree Jones for volleyball, and Michelle Ogle for cross country for 2024 coaches?
Madam Chair, I move that we hire the fall 2024 coaches as listed in the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do we have any discussion around prom date and off-campus venue?
Chair, we have our advisor
Okay,
and
Ms.
maybe a couple
Severance.
students to present.
Okay, awesome.
Actually, just one student.
Yeah. All right, well, come on up, and then you guys all have a prom.
They want a song and
thing in your
dance.
packet.
So I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there is a new wedding venue of Middle Fork. It's right across from the Shepherd Shop, right there as you're going up out of Crouch with speed limit changes. When myself and Ryan, the other junior advisor, were talking to the juniors about what they wanted to do for prom, they had really expressed an interest in that. So Loree was able to get in contact with them and get me their information, and they actually want to donate us their venue for that night.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, so completely free to our junior class. It's something that they want to do to help give back to the community. Austin Howell is one who's taking the lead on the, they're calling it the H5 Farm, or H5 Ranch. So he's the one taking charge of it, so he's the one I've been in contact with. He went to Timberline, graduated a couple years ago. He was like, we never had a cool prom venue, so he definitely wants to make sure that our kids up here have an awesome place. They have staff that will help take care of trash, cleaning, bathrooms, all that. They've got bathrooms that are in compliance. They've got a huge parking lot. We took some students up there to go up and tour it, and they were, Marina was there, so she wants to throw her input on that.
Who's this young lady?
Yeah.
This is Marina Simpson. She actually created the flyer you guys are seeing in front of you as well.
Very cool.
Very nice.
This is exciting for you guys, huh?
Yeah.
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 Just want to do better than the juniors last year.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think you got
Spirit.
it.
Well, and they do, so long as everything goes well and smooth, they actually want to do this as a yearly thing to give back to our community. So all of our
That
kids
would be
in the
incredible.
future will have access to this venue if they so choose to have happiness.
Do they have a full kitchen there, do you know?
They have a diner, but it is not approved to use for
At this time?
cooking.
Okay. Because I know when I was up here before, as one of the teachers, we used to cook like a prime rib and scampi and do the dinner for the kids too, as well as.
Yes, and we do plan on doing dinner. We just haven't made that decision as a class yet.
I'll throw my hat in the ring if you want.
Are you gonna cook?
Absolutely.
Oh, you
I love cooking. I was a chef for about 5 years. You get that done.
Yes, so tentative date is May the 4th. We are hoping that there are no softball, baseball meets on that date. So far, there's not. Chandler said that there's not, so that is what we are moving for. And we're just looking for people to have it off campus up at the H5 Ranch.
Thank you for your presentation.
That's great. How cool. Can the board chaperone?
Absolutely. We're always looking for chaperone. I mean, this place is cool. We had, it's 6 students with us, I think. Ryan and myself went up there with 6 students, and we even had one of the guys come with us and just, he was smiling. He was like, this is so cool.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's a really awesome place. So if you guys wanted to go and check it out, absolutely, we'd love to have you as chaperones.
Cool. Okay, is there any questions? Anyone here have any questions?
I guess the only thing I would say is when people in the community offer something like this, it's really generous. I'd
Yeah.
really like our kids to focus on
Yeah.
saying thank you or sending a
Sending a thank you card?
Yeah, absolutely. And we would find something to definitely thank Austin for doing this for us. Again, he offered his time to take us up there to go for a tour. They've got staffing for the whole event. He was like, the only thing we need you guys to do is clean. And then it was pretty much, oh, and we have a cleaning crew that comes in and does floors, and we have people that take the trash out, and we've got special wipes for the table. So you don't even have to worry about like that stuff. So
Wow.
it's pretty much just making sure that it's all picked up and nice and clean and ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Pretty generous.
Yes, very generous.
Okay, well, do I have a motion to approve the prom site off campus? I don't know what the venue's called, or the H5 Ranch?
I would make a motion to approve the offsite H5 Ranch for the prom.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have fun. Okay, overnight field trip, future cities, national competition in Washington DC. So as most of us all are aware at this point, our future cities teams,
Deanna's here.
I didn't see you back there. Hi, come on up and let us know.
Yeah, tell us what happened.
I didn't see you back there.
Well, as you know, we had regionals and we had our teams. So you can only have one team from the school place. And so one team placed first, but then the other teams did place second and third, but they weren't able to. So they won, they're able to go to nationals. We were deciding what to do because we went last year and we didn't want to tap out the community or anything, but looking at the students, there's 13 students. Half of them did not go last year. And several of them are from family lives that they may never get out of Boise or Idaho. So Megan and I decided that, yes, we should definitely take all the teams, especially winning first, second, and third. And so, but instead of going for 10 days, what we did last year, we want to just do 5 or 6, the 15th through the 21st. So be there for the competition, but have a few days to go see DC.
Excellent.
So you guys fundraise like you did last year to make that happen for those kids. Okay.
Well, congrats to you.
Yeah,
guys.
good
It's
job.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so cool. Very cool. Do we have any discussion or any questions?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to let you know, I probably shouldn't vote on this because my wife submitted the application.
Okay.
Good suggestion.
And abstain. Would that be
Sorry.
abstaining? Yeah, you abstain when we do a
Okay.
call.
Do I need to, because my son's going and I'm gonna go?
Well, I need 3 of us to
You're
not.
probably okay to vote.
Yeah.
Because he's not getting any different benefit than anybody else that's attending. So it's not a special benefit for you. And you're not voting so that you can go. But I mean, some other parents would be going as well. So I think you're fine voting.
Good question.
Yeah, that's good questions.
Well, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the overnight field trip for the Future Cities National Competition in Washington DC for this coming up session. How are we doing?
Do I have a second?
Before I second, this overnight field trip will include all the Future City kids. Is that-
That's what.
Yes.
It will
That's,
include the 13 members.
All
So
kids.
Megan and I are the chaperones, educator, mentor, and then it will be the 3 teams, which are 13 children, and then their parents, a lot of parents.
Well, my only question is, so you said you needed 16,000, I think that was your goal for raising. What if it doesn't happen?
We make it available. We will make it happen.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem.
We already have several and we're working, the kids are going around locally this Friday, they're doing a bake sale tonight. We reached out to like Pay It Forward, but also the STEM Center, which they'll match half of a donation, and other big businesses.
The community's always been really supportive of this.
Right.
It's been one of our crown jewels, having the Future Cities kids a place high or win every year since I've been involved in it too, so it's been
And this
5, 6
year,
years.
So they get special awards, but they have like the top 4 that are the main every year. And it's like the best model, best presentation, best essay, and best project plan. And this year is the first time we won all 4 of them. So the winning team won 3 of them, and another team won the other.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
On that note, I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's all set. If you guys look into your board packets, we have a proposed calendar for this coming school year, which has already been like sent out to parents to vote on, correct, and teachers. and-
Yeah, teachers, there was about an 85% plus on the staff wanted, and I think a 77% plus is what Stephen said for the parents.
Okay,
It does meet all the dates, all the requirements, plus a 5-day snow day built in for
Okay.
hours. We always have to make sure we have enough for seniors. The senior class is the one that requires the most of 990 hours, and then it goes down from there. And so as long as we set everything to that 990, we know we're gonna meet no matter what.
okay.
Yeah, give our thanks to the calendar committee for working on this too.
Absolutely.
I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, lots of feedback.
So I do have a few questions about the calendar. Just, a lot of it's just really minor stuff, but, so there's 5 days that are highlighted red, and that's for the in-service.
Mhm.
What was August 6th? It's kind of,
That's the first
Sort of
day
highlighted
back,
red.
isn't it? It's kind of
August 6th, it's new employee orientation.
okay,
So it said down on the bottom explanation, it didn't have the color code on there, but that's any new teachers that come in, they're gonna have the 1 day for new, kind of onboarding. You know,
okay,
getting all the paperwork done for dental, health, that kind of stuff.
I gotcha. And then, policy 2200, it says that not more than 22 hours may be utilized for in-service teacher activities. And there's 5 days here, and I understand that 3 of the days are before school actually starts.
Correct.
So I was wondering if we just needed to modify the policy to say after school starts.
How do I take that?
Yeah, yeah.
So the policy, what happens is, as Pat was referencing, like you need 990 hours for your high school kids, 900 hours for your kind of middle school age, and then 810 hours for your younger kids. Under the statute, you can have 11 hours of snow days that fit within that 990. You can have 22 hours of the teacher in-service days that also fits in that 990. And so that's what that's referring to specifically. You can have more days than that. That's fine. They just can't count as instructional days.
Right.
And so they do count as teacher work days. And so they're in the teacher contracts are, I don't know what it is, 180 days a year-ish.
Here it's I think it's 149.
Oh, 4 day week,
Yeah.
okay, 149. And so of those 149 days, all of these in-service days count among those days, but only 22 hours of that time can count towards your instructional time. So your policy references the statutory number, and so I wouldn't recommend changing the policy. But I think it's just helpful to know that when you're counting instructional hours, you can actually count a few days that, I don't know how many it works out to, probably maybe 3 days of instructional time when you're a 4 day week.
Okay.
3 of those in-service days can actually count towards your instructional hours.
Okay.
But that's where that's coming from. So I wouldn't recommend changing the policy because it matches the statute, but it's confusing because it makes it sound like you can't train teachers very much, but the reality is it's just you can use some of that training towards it counts as instructional hours.
Okay, thank you. Also, senior graduation day was shown on here, but I didn't see it highlighted on the calendar.
Senior graduation May 24th. Right.
It's all white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a snow
So
day.
that's a snow day.
Maybe,
Yeah, it's a snow day.
Okay.
It was a mistake and we whited it out. I don't know. I don't know what happened. So we can, that's adjustments. So we send these to the state and they're gonna look at the reader as well as this.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
color code, so.
I kind of figured. I just thought,
Yeah.
I'm used to proofreading all the time.
I
For
get
you.
picking up little stuff here. So I see no school on President's Day and Labor Day. But then, again, on that policy 2200, it didn't list those holidays as our school holidays. So is that something that we would want to add?
We can
or-
add to it if you want to.
Or
At
does
that
it
point
just go
from now
with it
on,
later?
we take them off no matter what. And I'm good with either way. You know, if you want to set that in policy, that shouldn't be an issue, I wouldn't think at all. Have whatever date you want to take off.
Well, I think Labor Day is pretty standard for us to take off.
President's Day usually is.
Yeah,
Um,
we do present.
Some schools take off Martin Luther King Day, some schools don't. Some schools like Horseshoe Bend use it as a learning,
Mhm.
and they have to base a lesson around Martin Luther King Day during that time.
Mhm.
You know, there's just a lot of different issues, federal and state statutes of what you can and can't do, so.
Okay.
We had to look that one up this year because
Yeah,
neighbors came up, they're like, oh, we got the day off, and we're like, oh yeah, it'd be great, have fun together, and then we looked in the calendar, it's like, oh, we got school. The year before, there wasn't,
Right.
so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, how does it usually?
A lot of the schools are starting to do it as a learning tool,
Okay.
because, taking it off and, some schools take off Martin Luther King Day, but don't take off President's Day.
yeah.
Veterans Day. I mean, which ones do you, which ones don't? And I think that's where you can have local control on some of that stuff. So, which makes it nice.
May I add, just also too, when you have those federal holidays, attendance is gonna be lower. So if you put a couple more in there, it breaks up the semester a little bit. And then also too, because there's parents out there that have those days off and maybe they take long weekends.
Mhm.
So the attendance will be lower on those holidays. So
You're right.
scheduling it in.
I was just wondering if it's worthwhile to update policy when we run into these things, or if it's not necessary, but.
That was the other thing that I was going to bring up anyway. I brought it up with the previous board, and that was our policies. A lot of times are conflicting,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my proposal to just get a whole new policy manual, dump these, adopt all the new, and then we start tailoring what we want to do with that. That's my suggestion, because I think this has been too long in the tooth. There's been probably 7 or 8 superintendents and administrators that have added their own little crux in there, and so then you get a lot of conflicting stuff to where if we just get back, I personally don't like a lot of policies. I like to be able to have decisions and discussions and things and action items that you guys make that decision on. You have too many policies, you paint yourself in the corner. So you don't have the freedom to choose.
Right.
So just a thought.
Yeah. If we add them in there, then it kind of
It
requires
locks
us
us
every year.
in,
instead of-
and then you have to have a special meeting if you want to change it, and
Mhm.
it's just a longer process,
Okay.
which is okay.
Janelle brought up something too that kind of came to mind for me. I just want to maximize the number of students that are in the chairs,
Absolutely.
And so I was wondering, when you guys develop this calendar, if you go back to like the attendance records and look at the days where kids tend to be missing the most. You do, okay. Let's see. I guess I didn't see a symbol for the end of quarter or semester on the calendar.
No, it's just down at
In the
first and
key
last
there.
day of school, end of quarter semester, there is no symbol, no. And like I said, this is a draft, so I'll make sure that
Sure.
those things get noted and get it put in there.
Yeah, I thought.
But it is listed out in long form on the bottom, right?
Yep.
Circle.
Yeah. Here, first, end of the semester.
Oh, the semester's in
Semester there, yeah. See, oh, this part was a little bit confusing to me at first. I think I understand it now, but, let's see. On October 24th is when the parent-teacher conferences are. Elementary has it in the Thursday morning. And then it says plus no school. That no school is just for the elementary, right?
Yeah, because that's how we did it this year, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's we just implemented that this year.
Okay, because I saw that it was highlighted yellow up top, and that confused me a little bit at first, but the high schoolers will be. in the
We
school.
get
Yeah.
anywhere between 95 and 100% on elementary parents. And then in the high school, you get maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's usually the parents you don't really need to see because their kids are straight-A's. You know what I mean? So, and it's that way in every school that I work with. So to try to get something, it got to the point where Horseshoe Bend they don't do parent-teacher conferences anymore. They just say we have a student information system. You can come in and talk to our teachers anytime. Elementary still has set times when they do it, but secondary doesn't.
Huh.
So,
And then on the 23rd, 24th, there's no school for the
elementary.
Just 24th.
Just the 24th,
24th.
right. The 23rd, they have PM is when they're just having the parents come in. And then Thursday is AM, but no school.
Did we do 2 days this year where the elementary wasn't in
I
school?
believe it was one.
Was it just one?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the elementary is not required to have as many days in school.
Correct.
No.
810 hours.
Okay. And then I guess my final question was just on the Park Fridays. Would this be set in stone? Or I was kind of wondering if, because it seems like they're not consistent month to month, like where we choose our meetings to be the second or the third Wednesday, you know, here, it seems like if those were more consistent and the kids could
know what it is.
know when they're coming, they might, I was hoping to improve attendance on those days.
Like third Friday.
It's something that we can certainly look at.
Absolutely.
Without question. Part of the complications with this will be easily go back in, is the activity schedules or the sports schedules, but we can line it up to the best of our abilities without question.
And then you try not to pick a Friday that's like a third 3-day weekend. So if you were to try to go, let's say, try for the third Friday of each month, but then you bump into other holidays and you won't get good attendance.
Yeah.
On that, the type of Friday. Or if they just came back from a 3-day weekend and you're having a 2-day, it just, anyways, doesn't make sense a little bit.
But I agree. I mean, consistency is the best. When we first did the 4-day, when Kristen and I were here and we got the 4-day in, we actually moved. So any Monday off, we moved and did Friday on that day. That was on that week. That was crazy because then parents didn't know and your attendance was super low.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do is just make sure everything's consistent no matter what. And I think consistency is the best policy because, and we have 12 listed here. I mean, we could have just one a month. We want to, but make those very vibrant in what we need to do. I think the main intention when we sold it to the public was we're going to invite anybody who's failed. And those kids get invited to come in because then you're working with it. But then also on the other side, we've been talking about gifted and talented and having those kids come in also and possibly work. So, but we have a lot of PD days, so we have to get some stuff done also. So it's like 8 to 10 PD, 10 to 2, have teachers teaching just those kids that need extra help or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ways around it.
Yeah.
A lot of schools are doing, and more schools are going to 4-day.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, we used to have Park Fridays like every other Friday. I remember a couple years ago.
And then you get to that where you're starting to do Park Fridays every other Friday, and then the teachers start,
I know.
because now they're working more, and that's one of the enticements how you can keep teachers is with a 4-day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Can we still use those Park Fridays for like math remediation for the middle school and?
Without question, I think there's another idea that we're just coming around with, and it's just really about time so that people are in balance with their work and home life. One of them is PLCs where we're heavily exploring pushing in the PLC at least 1 or 2 times in a month on early in the morning for about 30 minutes so that we can really get the staff PD in as needed or just a check-in. So that's something that we've been looking at, and we actually have a list of all the PDs that, or the PLCs that the staff are wanting based upon their own basement of their teaching profession or teaching experience.
What are those? I'm sorry.
What's a
PLC is professional learning community, so it's what a first-year teacher might need is going to be very different than a 20-year teacher, and so the needs that they are asking for is very specific. So rather than doing just a box cut PD or professional developments for all, we're actually trying to make it more intentional where it's actually aligned to based on what they need, based on grade levels and based on content areas. One of the items that we're seeing here is that there's so much training that is required, Superintendent Goff is saying, we're just really wanting to make it more intentional for the people instead of wasting their time. On Fridays, we've identified that oftentimes it is a waste of one's time, so we're really trying to make it more tailored, customized to the teacher so that they are doing what they need without crushing their time. So this is an idea that we're exploring, and once we're at the final stages, we'll present this to Superintendent Goff so that he gets the final say and then we can roll these out.
Yeah, I think those Fridays are a great opportunity for the kids that are struggling. I really want to encourage them to go. One thing, it seems like there's fewer kids this year, maybe because of that time that it's offered in the morning. I know that, I think it was a little better attendance when it was 10 to noon, because I think they probably like to sleep in on Thursday or Friday morning. And maybe they have away games on Thursday nights.
If I could just respond to that, we did look into that. Part of the complications is that when we bring in people for the professional development, and if they need more time in the day, and so if they come up, it's an hour to drive up or potentially 90 minutes to get up here, and then because we're offering it from 10 to 12, and then if our PD day or our Friday day is cut short, maybe 2, 3 o'clock, it really limits the time frame. It really compresses that, and we're not able to get what we need. And so that was part of the reasoning behind that. And the other part is that we just wanted to get them on a little bit more of a routine in the morning as well, because if they're doing that 4 days a week, if the 5th day once a month was not gonna be, we did not believe that it was a huge demand. So that's the reason why we also wanted to keep it from 8 to 10 for this particular year as well.
I mean, as a parent, I can tell you, Thursday nights now for us, or like Friday nights for when I grew up. You know, it's like, that's when the school games are, that, you know, we stay up late that night, it's a movie, whatever. So, yeah, it's not exactly great getting that one kid up that needs help,
Right.
you know, to get them to school at 8 o'clock on a day that everybody else isn't or whatever. So I think even 9 o'clock would be great.
And then if we rely on data, I'm happy to send out a survey, and if this is the best time, because once again, if this is best for kids, we can shift that around as well. So I'm happy to do that if you guys would like the data to support some of the decisions. Or we can just make a decision, just what we need to kind of see how that ability to do that as well.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So do we need to approve this?
I don't think so.
No, are we just discussing it, or is that for approval,
Yeah,
right?
if you want to approve with the changes, we can make those changes, or do you want us to, I mean, what's the timeline on this?
In terms of, can you clarify that timeline for?
To get it to the state?
uh,
We can do it next month. We can make those changes and
Yeah, we're
come in
not,
with your-
they have not asked for that
Yeah.
information, and we are ahead of the curve here.
we just got to get the semesters in there, quarter semesters with the symbol and a couple little colors on there for that stuff. And then
Yeah.
if you want to send me all the stuff that you have off that, off the edited version, that'd be great.
And then I would like, I like doing Park Friday a little later too. So, I mean, just it makes sense,
I think
but I
that-
get it.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that you guys would like to see a version or a draft where the Park Fridays are very consistent.
Uh-huh.
What we do within that Park Friday though is that we can definitely look at that a little bit later, and that's something that.
Right.
But then we'll look to, and this, Janelle's part of the calendar committee, and so we'll get together, we'll make sure that we look at all the possible things so that we can be as consistent as possible for that part. And then
Okay.
heavily look at changing what the PD days look like, or the Park Friday days for the students.
Okay.
So we can present that as well.
Yeah,
We can be
that's-
ready by next board meeting.
Okay, that sounds great. So that means this won't have to change though, the way it is right now.
I think just very slight modifications, I believe, because I think that from my interpretation, I think there are some Park Fridays that you would like to see changed for the sake of consistency, because I'm not sure there's actually a.
Yeah, like
reason.
try to get them on the second, or try to get them on the
Correct.
third.
So I think
Yeah.
Probably
that
not the
needs to be-
first or the last because of all it is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll re-review this next week.
In February?
Mhm.
Okay. Alright. The next item, school closures, December 19th.
Skip one.
Oh, which one? Oh, modify 2023-24 school district calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the modified 2023-24 school district calendar?
I motion to do it next month after we make these modifications. Yeah, right?
Well, this is the
We just discussed it,
School closures, is that correct?
right?
No,
You did
it's
next year's
just
calendar.
next year's.
The conversation you said was for 24, 25.
Sorry. Okay, I got my numbers.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I have, is there any discussion to modify the 2023-24 school district calendar?
I think this was set in there too, if we had to make up any days, at this point in time, we don't. We have about 10 hours left for the seniors. There's some different things in case there's another snowmageddon and we come in and we have to take some extra time. If we get behind the hours, then we have to add days to make up. We can ask for a revision from the state and they can do a hardship, or we can also use our self-directed policy to say we're gonna have this Friday is gonna be for those students that are failing and seniors. And then that's an attendance day for everybody, but it's definitely there for those guys and they'll get the attendance and that way we check all the boxes and it'll be a full day of learning for them. They'll be caught up on their, whatever they need to get caught up, going to college paperwork or whatever it might be. And so that way we have that stuff set in and that's, thank goodness we do have those Fridays that we can do that kind of stuff. So we don't have to modify it yet, but you might see it come down the pipe depending on how it ends up.
Okay, then moving on to school closures. We have December 19th, 2023, winter road conditions, January 10th, 2024, winter road conditions, January 16th, 2024, power outage, January 17th, 2024, early release, snow and road conditions, and then January 18th, 2024, road and snow conditions. January 19th, 2024, Park Friday was canceled due to snow and road conditions.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the school closures as written on the agenda and as stated.
I just had a question on that.
Yeah.
Approve things that already happened. I think it's just some formality, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. As far as
It's for the state.
okay. As far as the power outage, at some point, I'd like to just kind of understand that better. Because it's happened to me at least 3 or 4 times now.
Mhm.
And it's like, by the time we get here to pick up the kids, the power's on. And so I just want to understand it better, to figure out what's it going to cost to get a generator to keep bathrooms going or whatever. Like every classroom's got daylight.
Thank you
And
for
if we
bringing
could
that
have like 2 hours
Because-
going before, as our limit instead of half an hour, an hour, so we can just,
So the Securing Our Futures grant, that's one of the things that I'm going to aim towards is getting a generator set up. And Kevin and I have already been talking about this. The more we get into cameras, fobs, voice over IP, you need to have backup.
okay.
The decisions made is because it was in our policy that after 30 minutes of power outage, you call school. Well, I think we need to get that policy taken out to begin with, but because we're on propane, right? So we have our heat. The only thing we're lacking is light, right? So if we get a generator in there, we could be good to go. We made,
Sorry, I misinformed you. We do not have a policy. It was procedure.
oh, procedure.
So I apologize.
Okay. So the one thing that we do then is we listen to Idaho Power. So we called Idaho Power. They said we were going to be out till 11. Then they said we were going to be out till noon. Horseshoe Bend made the call. We made the call. Of course, buses start rolling and power comes on.
Yeah.
Then you look, you're standing there with egg on your face. But at that point in time, you can't recall. You know what I mean? You make the decision and then you live by it. And so those are the decisions. But I totally agree with you. And that was, Kevin and I have had a lot of conversations about this, is getting the generator set up on certain areas so that we have those areas covered at all times.
Yeah, and even later that day, like, the other activities are closed because we were closed for the school, and there's no reason not to have practice. or
I agree.
anything else.
Yeah, yep. And that's one of the areas that we could set up in policy if you want to, that it's going to be a decision at that point in time by administration. So it's not an automatically blanket that
Yeah.
just because the power's out and it comes back on, you don't hold any basketball games.
Yeah, that'd be great, just have
Yeah.
guidelines.
Right.
But we can second your motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Last item of new business, approve in lieu of transportation payments. Janelle, do you want to just speak to the new board members about what that
Yes,
is?
we have a student that, in lieu of riding a bus, that parents will drive them in, so we just pay them a little bit. It's traditional for, if you have a 3-year-old preschooler, that doesn't have an older sibling to watch them on the bus. It's traditional, where we've done it before, when we had to take that 4th bus route off down south, the South Fork. Those parents would drive their kids in. So I think this might be the 3rd this year. So it's not 3rd game, maybe not. Do we have any in lieu besides this one?
There's only a couple, like.
They're fine.
5? Oh, yes. And it's, and in Loman. So Loman starts earlier, the bus takes them to school, but we do in lieu to get them home because there isn't a bus route at 2:00 when they release, since they start so early.
So we pay 3 or 4?
This will be the 6th.
How much do we pay?
Saved by the state.
State
Yeah.
rates.
The mileage is saved by the state.
So we're paying 5, and so at some point, do we just consider getting a bus? Or
It
whatever,
takes quite a
because-
bit, buses are expensive.
Okay, so this is the least expensive way to do it.
Yeah, like we'd want a generator before a bus, right? Like I kind of think that way.
And then you gotta get a driver
Yeah.
for the bus.
And then
That's the
we're-
biggest thing. is
and
finding a
Floyd
driver.
knew, yeah.
Like I say also that it's part of Idaho code, we're not the only school that's doing that. And we get reimbursed from the state. I don't know the number. I want to say it was like 80%.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not quite that much, or transportation costs. And in lieu of transportation costs are part of that too, so they do reimburse us for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a pretty minimal fee.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
not-
very much ever.
Very little paying for transportation, otherwise it's not.
Right.
Not even close.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the in lieu of transportation payment?
I'll make a motion to approve the in lieu of transportation payment.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, Pat, that's for you to sign. Okay, old business. Number 1, second and final reading of amended policy 1300.
Both of these policies, you guys have had first readings and modifications, and now we are on the second final reading potentially.
So
Which,
this
of course,
is-
the 1300 is the one where you don't have to have.
Yeah,
a
this
second
is just so
We can do it once.
we have discussion.
Change it.
reading.
Make our full mind, I'm not so.
So this policy, the 1300 guys, is to eliminate the second reading. Because usually we'll have one reading and then the next month we'll have the second reading. So it takes 2 months to adjust or change a policy or bring a new policy in. So this way it gives us, we can have a discussion, make decisions during the meeting and change the policy if we all agree.
And usually we're doing this because it's something that's been mandated by the state and we have no
Correct.
control over anyways.
And it
So,
would take 2 months
just-
to adopt a new policy when we needed it done 60 days before that.
we got caught up in this last year.
I would say it will save time or save a special meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or not having to have a special meeting to expedite it, right?
As the funny thing is being policy said you have to have a second reading. We had to have a second reading in order to change it to not have a second reading.
We second
They're
reading
kind
all
of
the
a catch
time.
22.
We do.
Yeah, so this just allows us to be a little more efficient if we're all on the same page.
Yeah, okay. But it kind of seems like it goes against Pat's idea of having less policy, like we're making a policy to change our policy.
We
At the
have
same
to
time,
have
we would like
this.
to have less policy
Right.
that we're not held to. So when do we get the When do we get the proposal to reduce our policy and scrap it?
Whenever we want to.
Whenever we want to do it,
That's
our
gonna be a
decision.
massive undertaking,
it's gonna be huge.
but I'll try to get that
We'll
done.
probably get our training first.
After this
And I'd like to
legislative
just
session and the
scrap
new
a bunch of
statutes come
policy.
in, we'll try to get the new policies at that time. And then
Okay.
And we
we
can
can have
start.
legal look through them and then we can just approve them.
Yeah, just for reference, I guess, privy to the room. So when you get the policy manual from the Idaho School Boards Association, I don't remember the number, but there's 600 to 800 policies in their manual. This is one of them, but it's, I mean, there's a lot. There's less than 24 that are mandatory by state law. You've got mandatory procurement policies, you have mandatory bullying policies, you know, you've got some special ed policies, homeless children. But there's less than 20 that are actually mandatory policies that a school district has to have. But the policy manual that the School Boards Association provides has 650 policies in it. Not every district needs every policy. And I think to Pat's point, sometimes when you put a policy in place, just like this one, it kind of ties your hands and you lose your flexibility. Some policies are great because it tells you this is how we're gonna handle it. Every time a situation comes up, you know, and I think when you have regular situations, those are the things you need policies, you know, that's appropriate to have a policy for. But there's a lot of things that come up very rarely, and it's kind of like, oh, we just leave it up to our administrators' discretion, how we're gonna handle this. And if it becomes a problem, then we can put a policy in place and say, do like this. So when Pat says it's a big undertaking, when you go through those, you know, 600 policies, it's not a one night sit down and go through it, oh, we don't need this one, we don't need that one. I mean, it can take, a lot of times when boards do this, it takes weeks or months. Then they get tired and they pay me a bunch of money to do it. And it still takes weeks or months, right? Because it's just, it's a lot of work. But I agree with Pat's approach. I'm not an attorney that's like, I want a policy for everything. I'm comfortable with school districts and school administration having some flexibility on how they handle things as long as they're being generally consistent in how they do it. So.
Yeah, we'd always have the option of having a second reading.
Absolutely,
Oh, sure.
absolutely.
We
Yeah.
can have it
Absolutely.
5 or 6 times.
We can read it as many times as we want. This just allows us to do it on, you know, while we're sitting here. So. Okay, well, do I have a motion to approve this final reading of amended policy 1300, district policy?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the final reading of amended policy 1300.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, second and final reading of amended policy 2430 for the gifted and talented program. And this dovetails off our last month's meeting, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we
Things that
eliminated,
we were required to have in here.
correct, I remember that.
This is from state, right?
Yeah, we had to add in the highlighted 1, 2, and 3 for the state to match the rubric. Okay,
I move that we approve this policy as stated here with changes.
okay, so I
The
would,
second reading of that policy.
okay, so then I make a motion, so
I make a
I'll,
motion
yep.
that we approve the second reading of this policy.
and do I have a second?
Policy number.
2430,
Policy number, thank you.
policy number 2430.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, new business continued. Approve amended policy 1120 oath of office.
So just because the date changed?
If you look at 1120P, wait, where are we?
1120.
1120. I don't think I have.
I see one highlighted thing.
So instead of it saying 1/17/2024, it'll say 1/24/2024.
Yep, It's just the date change.
For review for- as of this date.
Yeah, so in the two policies, the language in the policies has been a little bit inconsistent, so we wanted to just clean them up a little bit. So you'll see in 1120, there's the word regular is struck in the middle paragraph.
Right here.
Yep. So it could be at any meeting. So you, under the statute, you take office on January 1st. You know, following the election, or it says at a regular meeting of the board instead of just, I guess, so to me, you take out regular, then if you happen to have a special meeting like you are tonight, then that still counts. Instead of saying, oh, sorry, you missed that meeting, now you gotta wait another month. So that's why we're removing the word regular, is just so it's that whatever the next meeting is after you're elected or appointed, after you're appointed, then that's when you can take office. So that's the change on 1120. 1120P, we're striking language in the first paragraph because it's a little inconsistent. It says the trustee is we're striking out as the trustee is required to take his or her oath within 10 days after the trustee has notice of his or her election or appointment, or within 15 days from the commencement of his or her term of office. So you run for office in November.
Yeah.
You're notified that you won, and then it says you can take your oath of office within 10 days after that notice. So like before Thanksgiving, you could take your oath, but you actually can't take office until January. Or it's 15 days from the commencement of your term, and so then you're in January, then you wait 15 days, and anyway, the language is confusing, and so we're just taking it out. And so you just, before any trustee enters upon the duties of his or her office, he must take the following oath. And then we're removing just striking the language or affirm if reelected. It's just unnecessary language. So the oath is just as you took it a couple hours ago. So that's the only change in 1120P.
So this is simplifying policy, essentially.
Yep.
Because our goal is to
Making it so we can follow our own policy.
unnecessary policy and make it
Correct.
easy for us to follow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion that we,
Oh, I gotta make the motion.
okay, you go ahead.
So do I have a motion to approve the amended policy 1120 oath of office?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the policy changes in 1120 and 1120P. These policies.
Okay, we'll just do 1120.
Come together.
Can I do them together? Okay, awesome. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you can combine?
You can.
Who said it? Like that you're here.
Who seconded?
I did.
Ken.
Okay.
Ken did.
Thank you, Ken.
So then, Chris, can I ask you a question
Yeah.
for this? Like, can I just say it under subsection
Yep.
B and F?
You can.
Oh, gosh, that's amazing. Okay, item number 10, executive session 74-206, subsection 1.
Section.
B and F.
Section B and F. Do I have a motion to go into executive session with a roll call vote?
Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to 74-206-1, subsections B and F.
I'll second.
Okay, and can I have a roll call vote? So then you'll say your full name, we'll go down the line.
Yay or
And we'll
nay?
all go into executive.
Eric Blue, yay.
Ken Donnelly, aye.
Clay Tucker, aye.
Kylie Peters, aye.
George Simpson, aye. And the ayes have it.
That's awesome. I'm so happy I don't have to read all that.
Remember when you were away?
I know, but somebody said I had to,
No, I
and then
talked
somebody
to
says I
Chris.
don't. Well, now I gotta get in a new rhythm, because everything keeps changing on me.
Well, you got 4 more years. then.
I'll be a pro by the time it's all over.
Game started.
Thank you all. There's no more, there's gonna be no,